Okay, let's unpack this a bit. You're out there, grinding, the clock's always ticking, delivery schedules, regulations breathing down your neck, and, let's be real, making a good living.
Hmm.
It isn't always straightforward.
No, it's tough.
We get it, that pressure cooker life of a trucker, it's definitely real.
Mm-hmm.
So today on the deep dive, we're going to try and connect some dots. Things that might seem pretty far apart at first, like how CDL training is changing,
Right.
who's actually getting in the driver's seat these days, that, constant hunt for a decent parking spot,
The parking struggle.
those super frustrating wait times that just chew up your day, and even, like, what happens when the road itself needs a timeout for repairs.
And we'll even touch on some pretty futuristic fuel-saving tech, too.
Exactly.
And what's really interesting, I think, when you look at all this stuff together, is how every single piece kind of feeds into the next one.
Yeah.
It affects your daily rhythm, your whole routine out there.
Yeah, it's way more than just driving, isn't it? It's navigating this whole complex system.
Absolutely. A system with, let's say, a lot of friction points. And like you said, we've got a good mix of info today, different viewpoints on these challenges,
Yeah.
which, is really key. Like Hervey from life, as a trucker always says, you got to see things from all angles.
That's the goal today. Really get under the hood of these topics, pull out the useful bits, and show you how these big industry shifts are hitting your time, your wallet, your daily life.
We want you to come away feeling, sharper, more informed, not just buried in data.
Right. Maybe spark a few new ideas, too.
So where should we start? Maybe right at the beginning, getting that CDL.
Sounds good, because things are changing there, especially with these hybrid training models popping up.
Yeah, it's a big one.
For years, it was mostly classroom time, right? Sometimes felt a bit old school, then the hands-on stuff in the truck.
Exactly. Cramped classrooms, lots of seat time.
So this hybrid approach, what's the actual difference? What does it look like?
Well, the big shift is the theory part. DOT rules, hours of service, trip planning, even pre-trip stuff that's moving online.
Ah, okay.
So aspiring drivers can do that coursework kind of on their own time, using videos, online modules, that sort of thing.
That sounds potentially way more convenient than being stuck in a classroom. What are the upsides for someone wanting to get into trucking now?
Flexibility is probably the biggest one.
Yeah.
Imagine fitting your studies around a current job or family stuff instead of a fixed class schedule.
Yeah, that could open doors for more people.
Definitely. And learning at your own pace.
Yeah.
That can be really good too. Need to review something, just rewind the video, go over it again.
Makes sense. But there's always a flip side, right? What are the potential, downsides or challenges with learning the theory online?
For sure. It definitely takes more self-discipline. No teacher physically there, no set class times. It could be easy to slack off or maybe miss some crucial details.
Yeah, I could see that.
And this is really important, the practical skills. Maneuvering, backing, handling different conditions. That still needs serious hands-on in-person training and testing. You just can't learn the feel of a big rig from a computer screen.
That's a critical point. You absolutely need that real-world practice.
No substitute.
And we've heard different takes on this, haven't we? Like, new students seem to like the easier entry point.
Right, more accessible.
But some veteran drivers, they worry. They worry it might lead to drivers who aren't maybe fully baked.
Yeah.
Not quite ready for the real road.
That's a very real concern. You hear that from folks who spent decades out there. They feel a lot of the learning, the real learning, happens through that direct experience, maybe mentorship.
Yeah.
But then, trucking companies, they often see it as a faster way to get more drivers in the pipeline.
Fill those seats.
And even instructors are mixed. Some think, okay, this frees up more time for the hands-on stuff, while others worry it waters down the profession a bit.
And the FMCSA, the regulators, they seem okay with the online theory part, as long as it meets the standards.
Yeah, the ELDT guidelines allow for hybrid theory training. And technology keeps evolving too. Things like simulators are getting better, trying to bridge that gap.
Okay, so the bottom line seems to be hybrid offers convenience, maybe opens doors, but you gotta be motivated. And nothing replaces actual time behind the wheel with a good instructor.
Precisely. That hands-on skill development remains absolutely crucial.
All right, so the training path is shifting. Now, what about who's actually in the driver's seat? We keep hearing about the workforce getting older. Like, nearly half are over 55. That sounds like a blinking warning light.
It really does. It signals a critical point for the industry's future. We definitely need to figure out how to bring younger people into trucking. The numbers just aren't sustainable long-term otherwise.
So why is that? Why aren't younger generations, jumping into trucking careers like maybe they used to?
Well, it's a few things, really. Starting pay can be a factor. Younger folks might see better earning potential elsewhere, at least initially.
Okay.
Then there's the lifestyle, being away from home for long stretches. That doesn't always mesh with the work-life balance a lot of younger people are looking for these days.
Right, that's a big priority now.
And don't forget the hurdles to get in. Getting the CDL itself, drug tests, insurance costs. It can seem like a lot to overcome.
Plus, maybe the image. Does trucking still have kind of an outdated image problem for some?
Yeah, that's part of it too. Compared to maybe tech jobs or other fields, it might not seem as appealing to some younger people.
So, a tough mix. But
Yeah.
the industry's trying things, right? They're not just sitting back.
Oh, definitely not. People are working on solutions, things like apprenticeship programs, trying to make it easier and maybe cheaper to get started.
Okay.
More focus on better equipment too, nicer trucks, more tech, more comfort, trying to appeal to that, tech-savvier generation.
Makes sense. And trying to maybe revamp the marketing, change that image.
Exactly. Highlighting the independence, the opportunity.
And it's interesting because you hear different stories from young people in trucking too, right? It's
Well,
not all negative.
not at all. You've got some who really love the freedom, seeing the country. That appeals to a certain personality.
Yeah.
And then you have this other group, kind of the entrepreneurial types, using trucking almost like a side hustle to fund other things.
Right. Like maybe building those AI businesses we talked about before. Trucking pays the bills while they build something else.
Exactly. It offers that autonomy and earning potential.
Yeah.
But, there are also real concerns among young people. Health risks, pay uncertainty. Those are valid points.
And within the industry itself, you probably have the old school folks versus those who welcome the new generation.
For sure. A whole spectrum of opinions there. Some value tradition. Others are excited about the new ideas and tech skills younger drivers often bring.
So it sounds like bringing in and keeping younger drivers needs, well, a lot. Better pay, maybe more predictable home time, and definitely working on that overall perception.
Absolutely. And the industry is adapting. More tech integration, like digital logs and routing apps, helps. And focusing on retention, better benefits, more home time, that's becoming more critical.
Makes sense. It's vital for the future. Okay, we've talked training, we've talked demographics. Let's shift gears to some of those daily headaches. Starting with one everyone knows, parking. Finding a safe spot. It's a nightmare. But there's some potentially good news, emergency federal funding.
Yes, this is actually a really positive step, and honestly, it's been needed for so long. The lack of safe, decent truck parking is a massive ongoing problem.
Tell me about it.
So this federal money, it's a big deal. It shows someone at the national level is finally recognizing how critical this is.
Okay, so what does this funding actually do? Is it just a few extra spots here and there?
No, it seems more ambitious than that. The idea is to urgently boost parking capacity. That means upgrading existing rest areas, maybe building new spots along major freight routes, possibly partnerships between public and private sectors.
Yet improvements too, like better lighting, security.
Exactly. That's key.
Mhm.
Better lighting, maybe security cameras, access to restrooms,
Mhm.
the basics that you often struggle to find reliably.
Man, that's overdue. You
Yeah.
hear constantly about drivers having to push their hours just hunting for a safe spot or parking in really sketchy, unsafe places.
It's a huge safety issue, both for the driver and their cargo. And think about the lost time.
Right. How much time do drivers waste just looking?
Studies suggest it can be like 30 minutes, maybe even an hour every single day, just searching.
Wow. That adds up fast across the industry.
Huge impact on efficiency. So the reaction to the funding. Truckers are mostly happy, hopeful, but maybe a bit skeptical too, like I'll believe it when I see it.
Understandable.
Carriers, fleet managers, they definitely want safer legal options. It helps with violations, maybe even insurance rates.
And local towns. Maybe mixed feelings. NIMBism versus truckers spending money locally.
Yeah, that's often the dynamic.
Yeah.
Balancing local concerns with the economic benefits truckers bring when they stop.
And the industry itself is reacting. States applying for money, truck stops maybe partnering up.
It sounds like it. States are getting applications ready. Chains might see opportunities. And tech helps too, right? Parking apps, reservation systems.
Yeah, those can make a difference.
So it's cautiously optimistic, I'd say. The funding is a win. It shows speaking up makes a difference. But building this stuff takes time. There will be hurdles.
Okay, so parking relief might be slowly coming. Let's talk about another huge time suck. Waiting. Those long waits at warehouses and the whole issue of detention pay. or lack thereof. One source called it a legal scam. That's pretty strong language.
It is strong, but it definitely reflects how a lot of drivers feel. And you know the scenario. You show up on time, ready to load or unload, and then you just sit.
And sit.
For hours sometimes,
Yeah.
watching your HOS clock tick down,
Yeah.
and often getting paid zero for that waiting time.
What causes these crazy delays? Why does it happen so often?
It's usually a combination of things. Warehouses might be short-staffed, scheduling can be messy, sometimes there's just no sense of urgency to get you loaded or unloaded. And a lot of shipping contracts have that free time built in, right? Often 2 hours, where they don't have to pay you anything for waiting.
Right, that 2-hour window.
And even when detention pay is supposed to kick in, actually getting it can be a whole other battle. Paperwork, delays in payment. It's frustrating.
And this isn't just annoying. It costs drivers real money, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially for owner-operators. Time is money. Literally, every hour you're stuck waiting is an hour you could be moving, earning on another load.
Plus the stress, worrying about your hours.
Huge stress. You can push drivers towards violating HOS just to make up time, and it just feels disrespectful, like your time doesn't matter. Major cause of burnout.
So who's saying what about this? Drivers obviously feel robbed. What about the shippers, the carriers?
Well, shippers or warehouses often point to external factors, labor issues, equipment problems, sudden rushes.
Excuses sometimes.
Maybe sometimes. Carriers are mixed. Some really fight for their drivers to get fair detention pay. They know it affects retention. Others, maybe not so much. Or they just pass the cost along somehow.
And the end customer buying the stuff, probably clueless about all this dockside drama.
Usually, yeah.
Yeah.
Completely unaware.
And it's frustrating that even with studies and talk, real change on detention pay seems so slow. Tech like appointment systems might help a bit, but it's not everywhere.
No, not a silver bullet. But it is interesting how drivers are using social media more now, calling out specific warehouses, sharing their experiences.
Yeah, shining a light on it.
That can be powerful. Raise awareness, maybe create some pressure. But yeah, the bottom line is unpaid detention time hurts morale, hurts income, and it's just fundamentally disrespectful of a driver's professional time.
Okay, so from waiting at the dock, let's get back out on the actual road. Another thing that messes up schedules. Road closures. Like that M13 ramp closure in Saginaw County for resurfacing. Seems small, but these things happen everywhere.
All the time. And while everyone knows roads need fixing, even a small closure like a ramp can cause pretty big ripples for a truck driver.
How so?
Well, that closure means detours. And detours almost always mean more miles, more fuel burned,
Right.
potential delivery delays, and just generally more stress for everyone stuck in the backup, not just truckers.
Yeah, road rage potential goes up too.
Definitely. And you hear all sides, right? Drivers are frustrated, understandably. Another delay. Transportation officials are saying, hey, long term, you'll have smoother roads.
And the local folks just want the potholes fixed yesterday.
It's the reality of keeping roads maintained. So for you, driving through this stuff, what's the best approach?
Information is key, right?
Yeah,
Using those truck-specific GPS apps that have live traffic and detour info.
absolutely crucial. Plan your fuel stops maybe differently if you know there's a detour. And communication, letting dispatch know, letting the customer know if you're going to be late.
Yeah, being flexible and informed. It's part of the job, dealing with construction, but man, it's still a pain.
Always an inconvenience. Now, speaking of the road, let's talk about making those miles maybe a little cheaper, at least potentially. International's SuperTruck Tinko prototype hit 16 miles per gallon. That number really jumps out.
16 mpg. Yeah, when you're usually looking at, what, 6, 7, maybe 8 if you're lucky, 16 sounds like science fiction.
It really does.
But hang on, before we get too excited, what's the SuperTruck program anyway? Is it just international?
No, it's actually a Department of Energy thing. The government gives grants to the big truck makers, International, Freightliner, PACCAR, Volvo, to basically push the limits on fuel efficiency, reduce emissions, cut operating costs. This is International's second go-round, hence SuperTruck 2. And yeah, 60 mpg is the big headline.
Okay, so how'd they do it? What's under the hood or maybe around the truck that gets that kind of mileage?
It's a whole package deal, a lot of work on aerodynamics, making it super slippery through the air, using lighter materials like composites, advanced engines, maybe hybrid systems, technology to capture energy from braking, or even waste heat.
Wow, sounds complex.
Very complex. Plus smart systems, using sensors and data to optimize how the truck drives for maximum efficiency.
Okay, reality check time. You said prototype. So we're not going to see these rolling out dealerships next week, are we?
Not a chance. That's the huge caveat. This was a test truck run under perfect conditions, probably light load, good weather, flat roads, professional test drivers.
Yeah.
Real-world trucking is messier.
Yeah, much messier. Hills, traffic, heavy loads.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we don't know about durability yet. How does all that fancy tech hold up over hundreds of thousands of miles? What's the maintenance like? And the big question, what would something like this cost if they ever actually built it for sale?
Right. Probably a fortune initially. So how should you, the driver out there, think about this news? Is it exciting? Worrying?
It could mean different things. For an owner-operator, maybe down the road, there's pressure to upgrade to stay competitive on fuel costs.
If you can afford it.
If you can afford it, exactly. Company drivers might end up driving these, but maybe face more monitoring their driving style to squeeze out every last drop of fuel.
Uh-huh. More Big Brother.
Potentially. Some older vets might just see it as way too much tech, too complicated. Fleet owners, they'll be crunching the numbers, potential fuel savings versus the upfront cost and reliability.
So the reaction is probably mixed. Excitement about saving fuel, but also questions about cost, reliability, who really benefits.
That sums it up pretty well. It's
Oh.
a significant achievement, shows what's possible.
Hmm.
But the actual impact on your day-to-day, your fuel bill,
Yeah.
that remains to be seen. Definitely something to keep an eye on, though.
Okay, so we've really covered a lot of ground here, from getting your CDL in maybe a new way to who's driving alongside you, the constant battles for parking and fair pay for your time, dealing with road work, and even looking at these super efficient future trucks.
Yeah, and like we mentioned, Hervey from Life. As a trucker emphasizes seeing all the angles, each story has multiple sides, affects different people differently.
Absolutely. And when you stitch it all together, you see how it all connects, how it shapes your life out there.
Which brings up a really important point for you, the listener. Managing your time. It's not just about hitting that shipper's deadline. It's about managing your time for yourself.
Yes, that downtime, whether it's waiting at a dock, stuck in construction, or even just your regular off-duty time, that's valuable time. How can you use it?
What opportunities are there in those hours?
Exactly. Like those resources we mentioned, lifeasatrucker.com, retirefromtrucking.com. They talk about this. Maybe use that time to learn a new skill. Could be anything. Maybe explore those online income streams we touched on, using AI tools, maybe something totally different.
Building something for your future, whether it's extra income now or planning for down the road.
Right. And just staying aware, adapting to these industry changes like the hybrid training, the new truck tech that helps you stay competitive, stay in control of your career.
It's about being proactive, not just reactive.
And we really want you to know, doing this deep dive, our goal is to show respect for the incredibly important work you do. We want to arm you with information, show you those different perspectives so you can navigate this stuff.
Understanding these trends, these challenges, it really does empower you to make better decisions for yourself.
So let's leave you with a final thought to chew on. With all these shifts happening, how you get trained, who you're sharing the road with, the parking, the waiting, the trucks themselves, what steps can you take starting today to really lock in your long-term success and, just as important, your well-being in this vital industry?
Keep digging into these topics, find communities, find resources that support you.
Thanks so much for tuning in and joining us for this deep dive.